So as many of you know, I made a clip a while back showing you Twootles and how she not only stole art from another artist and passed it off as her own, she then tried to cover up her tracks when I called her out, which would have also had me rendered a liar by her had she pulled it off. So as many of you are aware, I shared a clip about Twootles the other day and the art that she stole. So what do you think happened after she was outed? Did she accept responsibility? No. Did she remove the work from her platform? No. Did she make any comment on the situation whatsoever? No. Well, actually, wait a minute. She did comment on the situation, except she chose to comment on the situation pretending to be somebody else. Doesn't she credit the original artist on her YouTube, where you can see the literal speed painting of her doing it? Art adaptations are a thing. So how did we know it was her? She deleted a lot of her old tweets, but unfortunately, she'd forgotten to delete a lot of the replies where she was talking to her friends before she changed the name of the account. I don't know, she credited, so was just highlighting that. I don't think you should be using somebody's boundaries about DMs against them to back up your video though. That's really shitty of you. You heard right, she said she credited the artist. Yes, she had gone back and adjusted the description, but unfortunately for her, I already had proof that she never credited the artist in the first place. Not to mention, she deleted a comment where she told somebody that the painting had taken her 60 plus hours to do. So instead of taking responsibility, she simply covered up her tracks. When she was caught doing this, she actually deleted the whole video. Oh, and that old second Twitter account? Yeah, that's gone now too. And believe me when I say there are many more reasons why you should not trust this woman, and it's all She eventually made some statements regarding taking accountability. Now the first thing is that she claims that all she forgot to do was credit the artist. And she forgot to do this despite getting complimented, even stating it took her 60 hours. She did show the time-lapse video of her colouring it in, but even slowed down and given it extra time for thinking and margin of error, I would suggest there is not a chance that it could have been anything like 60 hours. Now I'm aware that not everyone cares much once they see an apology and doesn't want to hear the nuances. However, it renders your apology invalid if you continue to lie on the issues that surround what happened. It is my opinion she had every intention of passing this off as her own, even signing the piece with her own name confirms that for me. However, the art theft doesn't end there. You would think that if you were holding yourself accountable, that you would probably mention the other pieces of art you had stolen, wouldn't you? Well, not Twootles. She had merch, which is now removed, that looks awfully similar to these designs found on TeePublic by Mako Design and Let Nothing Stop You. So given that she at first lied about stealing the art and went as far as claiming it took her a long time to make, she made a feeble attempt to cover it up and then came clean, but left out the other art she had stolen. Now this is just the tip of the iceberg, but as you can imagine, if a person not only lies and deceives in this fashion more than once, there's a good chance that it can happen again. The biggest issue for Twootles is that she likes to think she's entitled to use and manipulate people and thinks she can get away with it. She made a long tweet about somebody early last year claiming that someone had said they were entitled to get the same amount of subs as Twootles because Twoots got that amount. She went on to say that she wasn't going to name the individual and warned others not to believe everything they read online and to go to her directly for any information. She then bolted on another tweet saying that the person in question was claiming stolen artwork for emotes that Twootles claimed were done for a friend by the person she accused. Sound complicated? Well, of course it is. Twootles is calling out someone claiming stolen artwork when we know for a fact she herself stole artwork. This will become a bit more clear shortly. The person in the subtweet was Spud Queen, and what had happened was that she had been given a donation of $1,000 by somebody who also watched Twootles. The donator, Nick, aka Anawar, proceeded to badger Spud Queen, asking how much for nudes, and Spud Queen replied jokingly, double the donation. Knowing full well that he wouldn't make the donation, Nick went off to tell Twootles his own version of events. Twootles would then privately message Spud Queen saying, "I'm aware you've been going after my top supporters. Stop." She also accuses her of getting close to Nick for his money and treating him like an object. Twootles also says, "My grandma is dying and I've been trying to get out of an abusive relationship for a year. Nick chose to support me that way eventually because he knows what's going on." This is obviously incredibly serious and she knows nobody can question ill family or personal relationships, But this kind of emotional manipulation is something we see a lot from people who are proven liars. And it is almost to the letter exactly the same as many of the things that Teeny Giant claimed when she was not getting her own way. This is only my opinion, of course, but when you repeatedly lie and try and cover up what happened, I refuse to believe in people until there is proof. The general trust and benefit of the doubt I give the usual person goes out the window once you lie, cheat, and manipulate. Incidentally, Twootles and Teeny were friends, and at one point Twootles had mentioned to Teeny about Ghost, previous sex offender if you didn't know, and the victim's account of what had happened. Although, like Teeny, she did not trust the victim's evidence enough and failed to raise any real alarm about him. More about that later. Spud Queen claims multiple occasions of bullying and harassment from Twootles and her community occurred following these allegations. Now, Twootles likes to claim that she is a big supporter of her friends and wants them to be successful, and I struggle to see that. Twootles would go on to have a big falling out with a friend of hers called Luther. Luther made a TwitLonger and shared a Google Drive of screenshots that at the beginning of his account shows that they were very good friends. But Luther claims that she cut ties with him at a low point and proceeded to gaslight them into thinking it was their fault. I must admit this whole situation and the screenshots that go with it are incredibly messy. It got to the point where they were both doing online therapy sessions together. Having looked at it, I do see some emotional manipulation from both sides, and that Twootles catches herself out lying again and making out that she cares for Luther when she doesn't. I would have liked to have gone through this in more detail, however, I think that it wouldn't come off well in a video, and there is so much more to go over that I can't help but feel like I would miss something from this. There is, of course, one of our favourite characters who popped up trying to find out what was going on. That's right. Teeny Giant again, trying to find out what was happening, claiming she was looking for the tea. The link to the Google Drive that Luther made is in the description if you care to look through them and make up your own mind, but it's fair to say that Twootles goes on to continue the patterns of behaviour that are aforementioned in this video. Now, I've spoken about emotional manipulation and how it is a theme with Twootles, and this became ever more clear to me when she landed in the US for TwitchCon. On arrival, she claimed that a prepaid card that had been given to her by Twitch ANZ had been flagged for suspicious activity, and she had to spend her remaining money on the flights for the rest of her trip. She was taking a 2-week trip around the US with friends. She said that she was going to have to go to sleep before she had a panic attack. When I was shown this, I was really confused. Surely when a card is blocked, you can tell the bank to get them to release it. It might be difficult in the very short term, but she was in the US for weeks. But her community came to rescue her and sent her the money. And as far as I'm aware, we never did find out what happened to that pesky card that wouldn't work for her. I mean, did she just write that money off? Interesting that she mentioned her health at the same time. I know her community helped her out, but don't forget, if you want to reach out to her, you can message her only as a subscriber to her Spicy accounts, as she doesn't have time for everyone's messages, as I alluded to in another clip. And I'm surprised that she actually had the time to paint this picture, given that if you want to message her and you're in a community, you have to join her OnlyFans or Patreon.
I'm not going to be replying to Instagram or Twitter DMs anymore. It's too much. I can't do it. It's exhausting me. But I am really active on DMs in OnlyFans. So
lovely to see that these positivity and safe space streamers aren't taking advantage of anyone else. Twootles would go on to make a very broad and ambiguous statement about making the wrong decision in keeping somewhere in the community, who I believe to be Ghost, and gives a vague spiel about times she didn't behave as she should, but without giving any examples, and that to me sums it up from her. A total lack of truth and accountability. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.